Welcome back to Toasty Tutorials. Today I'm going to be talking about Firebat's Hunter deck from the Pinnacle tournament. So what's different about this deck versus most other Hunter decks is it really focuses on having a strong early game and an above average, especially for Hunter, mid and late game. So as you can see, it's got kind of the usual suspects you'd expect from Hunter. So of course Undertaker being kind of the leading front man. And then, his Death Rattle buddies, you got, Clockwork Gnome, good old 2-1, you got Web Spinner. And you don't have Leopard Gnome, so that's one kind of notable omission, but we'll see what you get for it a little bit later, again, on the higher end curve. So then you have some traps, pretty usual here with the 2 freezing traps, which is very standard, and then you have an explosive trap. Again, running one of them is pretty standard. I guess a notable omission is there is no snake trap, which some people love, some people hate, so in this case, we're going to omit it. Alright, continuing on, you have your Haunted Creepers, which, again, are just really good sticky minions. That's really hard for your opponent to completely clear off the board, or if they do, it's nigh impossible to 1-for-1 with the Haunted Creeper, especially given it costs only 2 mana. And, of course, it also buffs your Undertaker and makes him very, very formidable, extremely quickly into the game. In this list, we have 1 Ironbeak Owl. Usually a lot of Hunter lists do run 2, but again in this list we're playing more of a mid game to late game emphasis, so only have room for 1 in this case. Following up, you have the Knife Juggler, of course a super staple in pretty much all small aggressive creature aggro decks, and he'll do a ton of work. Also extremely good with Haunted Creeper. You have Mad Scientist, which of course the A deck with traps is just an all-star and could probably cost 3 and would be perfectly playable still. You have Eaglehorn Bow next up, and it's also, of course, Superstar for Hunter. Definitely don't want to leave home without 2 of them. And you don't only have 3 traps in this deck, but given you also have your 2 Mad Scientists, which are kind of like virtual traps, then having your 5 sources that you can pump the Eaglehorn makes it, relevant enough to still play and still be extremely good and really scare your opponent with the fast clock it can provide. Next up, you have the Animal Companion. Again, it's a very super standby for Hunter. Not much else to say there. Hopefully you roll Huffers when you need them. Following up that, you have Kill Command, which is a great way to finish an opponent or in a pinch kind of deal with a problematic creature. Following up that, you have Unleash the Hounds, which by itself, especially on ladder, is generally very good. Seeing is that your opponent's going to be playing, you're going to be playing against a lot of Hunter, Zulak, and Mech Mage. And all those decks, of course, like to get a lot of minions on the board, which makes Unleash the Hounds better. Furthermore, Unleash the Hounds, basically the new combo, since Starving Buzzard costs 5 now, is to play Unleash the Hounds with Knife Juggler, which is a nice 5-mana combo, kind of like the previous Starving Buzzard. Instead of drawing a million cards, you get tons of board position and or damage through the Knife Juggle knives. That's a really sweet combo that can definitely sweep the rug out from under your opponent's feet. Alright, so getting into what kind of makes this deck stand out is starting on the 4-drop slot here with the Piloted Shredder. Yeah, it's just kind of like the big brother of the Haunted Creeper. It's a very, very sticky minion. It's extremely hard to deal with very efficiently or mana effectively. So you have him. He's definitely performed well for me. He also pumps your Undertaker, so if your Undertaker manages to survive for a while, or if you, on turn 5, let's say, draw an Undertaker and have a Shredder still, that can be a very good turn 5 that gives the board back into your favor. After the Shredder, we have Lothab, who, of course, kind of goes into every deck, as I've said previously, and this deck is no exception. He's just too strong and too good of an effect for just the 5-mana cost he requires. So after that, you have your Savannah Highbane, which is arguably the best and most efficient creature in the game, but of course is limited to only Hunter. And finally, you have Dr. Boom, everyone's favorite new kid on the block. One kind of cool thing is that the Boom bots, actually, because they have Death Rattle, actually do buff your Undertaker. So in a pinch on turn 8 or so, you could actually play an Undertaker into a Dr. Boom and have a 3/4 Undertaker, which is pretty cool. Yeah, so this is, like I said, Firebat's Pinnacle Hunter deck. Definitely focused stronger on mid-range and late game than some other Hunter decks. But it just plays a lot of resilient and strong creatures. So we're going to take this into on the ladder and see how we do.